Reading Uni weather.
Hello there. Well, it's been a very settled picture across Reading and the Reading area over the last few days, and it's a theme that's going to be sticking with us as we go through the next few days. So remaining very settled then over the next week, we're seeing quite heavy rain at times, and also accompanying that rain we could see some quite strong winds. But temperatures will remain fairly mild for the time of year, but notice towards the end of the week we could well see some cooler weather coming in. More on that in just a moment. So back into the moment at hand then. This is the UK, and we can see we've got these two very strong areas of low pressure marching their way off the Atlantic over the next couple of days. So the first one going through on Monday and the second one waiting in the wings on Tuesday, and that's a repetitive theme that's going to stick with us right the way through to Friday. So looking at Monday in more detail then, we can see those strong winds across Northern Ireland and Scotland, some quite severe gales in some areas, and accompanying those very strong winds we could see some quite hefty blustery showers, maybe falling as snow across some of the Scottish Highlands there. Elsewhere it's a mostly dry start with maybe one or two light showers pushing through on those strong westerly winds. And as we go through to the afternoon, not much in the way of change really for Scotland and Northern Ireland. Maybe those showers continuing, those winds will ease down a touch, but elsewhere we start to see the cloud thickening with that next system waiting in the wings to push up from the south and west, bringing some further heavy rain and some quite strong winds. As we go through to the temperatures then, fairly north-south divide going on at the moment. Some quite cool temperatures across Scotland and Northern Ireland, 5 to 8 degrees here. Elsewhere around 12 to 13 degrees, so still quite mild here for the time of year. However, it probably won't feel that mild due to the strength of the winds. So going through the rest of the week then, this is a chart here that shows the upper air temperatures in the atmosphere. So we can see that we've got this mild air across the UK to start off the week, but as we go towards Friday, we notice the colder blue temperatures coming down from the north, and that heralds the possibility of some quite cold weather towards the end of the week. And with the risk of that cold weather, we see the chances of some frost and some ice, and maybe even some snow to low levels, perhaps even in the Reading area. But again, that could well change before we get to that stage in the week. So the 5-day forecast then for Reading, again, rain for most of Tuesday, maybe more patchy and light in nature on Wednesday, and some showers on Thursday. Friday looks to be mostly dry, maybe some showers still not ruled out as well during the day, but look how the temperatures tumble throughout the week. Very mild from Monday through to Wednesday and Thursday, but on Friday we see those temperatures start to collapse and back down towards more of the normal temperatures for the time of year, and that sets up the scene for the weekend where we could see some quite cold weather in the Reading area. So that's all from me. If you want to catch up with the latest weather and goings on, you can check out our Facebook and Twitter pages at Reading Uni Weather and the Reading Meteorology Society. And I'm now going to hand you over to Scott for this week's weather news on polar lows. Thank you, see you later.
Thanks very much, Mr. Nelis. Well, this week we're going to look at something a little bit different. There's been a lot of talk of hurricanes and tropical storms recently, but this behind me is not a hurricane. This in fact is a polar low, despite that well-defined eye, which might get confused with a hurricane. This image was in fact taken off the north coast of Norway. So what is a polar low? Well, basically it's a small-scale cyclone found in polar regions, typically during the winter months, and in the northern hemisphere that's between October and March. So, why do we care about polar lows? Well, they introduce a lot of significant weather. That includes strong winds, blizzard conditions, reduced visibility, even lightning, and the ocean gets chopped up a lot, which can introduce icing to shipping vessels, for example. Well, we're going to look at one of the formation mechanisms, and this is called the cold air outbreak formation mechanism. And this is when cold air flows in off an ice shelf or a cold landmass over a relatively warm ocean. By relatively warm, I don't mean tropical. This is going to be still very cold, but compared to the atmosphere, that water is warm. And you can see that these convective clouds then form in this instability, and they're being organised into cloud streets with the prevailing wind. And if the formation mechanism persists, we can get a spin-up of a surface cyclone, and that can then, if criteria are met, become a polar low. We can see here, just in the south of the picture. So, can we get polar lows in the UK? We do get cold air coming in off the north over relatively warm water, and actually on the 29th of January this year in fact, we can see that there's a polar low just off the west of Scotland. This introduced a lot of snow showers and convective activity. There's even snow down in the Reading area, and that just shows how cold the atmosphere was at that time of the year. And because the water is still relatively warm compared to the atmosphere, that's why we could see a polar low making its way all the way here. And as Ashley said during his presentation, there is cold air coming towards us for the UK. Are we going to get any polar lows? Well, stay tuned.
Reading